Welcome class to the Whiteboard City Population U. Here's a short summary of Part 1 of the Abolition of Man. Part 1 focused on the faults of the Green Book, an English grammar textbook, including how it instills in students that there are no moral absolutes. Instead, morality is subject and depends on the person. However, C.S. Lewis argues that there is a moral absolute which is the Tao, and we need feelings and opinions to complete our essence. Lewis then describes the mind as having three parts: head, intelligence, chest, will, and stomach, desire. Lewis explains that if you remove sediment from man, the will is lost, and you end up with men without chests in a world that demands men with chests.
In Part 2, a lot of focus was put on arguments against the Tao and explained that those who argue against a moral basis, that is the Tao, do so by defending what they believe is right. This belief in what is right is actually the Tao. Ideas that are morally good come from the Tao. Also, C.S. Lewis talks about ethics and instincts. We shouldn't follow anything but the Tao, which overlaps with ethics, and we shouldn't follow instincts because they are often driven from irrational feelings. Part 3, the Abolition of Man. This begins with the idea of reality versus man's concept of nature. Let us consider three typical examples. The airplane. If you allow something to carry yourself, you are not therefore a strong man. Humans think they conquered the air, but it is really the machine that is doing the work. Humans can't directly conquer nature. The wireless. Man is as much the patient or subject as the possessor, since she is the target of both for propaganda. We as humans sought to improve our lives by manipulating technology. However, in doing so, we ourselves are being conquered by the same technology that we created.
Contraceptive. By contraception, humans are denied existence, and this is used as a means of selective breeding without their concurring voice. We've tried to manipulate sex for our own pleasure, yet this hinders the natural advancement of our species. So in all these examples, man's power is, in reality, power over himself, and limits the power of his predecessors. Lewis writes, man's power of nature turns out to be a power exercised by some men over other men with nature as an instrument, because we are all part of nature. A similar idea to this is the idea that by trying to conquer nature and thus conquer man, we belittle the human value of every person. According to J.R. Lucas, we treat man merely as a means, and not also as an autonomous, rational end in himself. A man will treat other men merely as things, manipulating them to serve his own ends. This brings up the idea of conditioners that we thoroughly touched upon coming up. The more power a man has over nature, the more power is held over man. In reality, if any generation attains by eugenics the power to make what it pleases, all men who live after that are the patients of that power. They are weaker because their lives have already been manipulated by man. Lewis says on page 57, all men who live after it are the patients of that power. Next, the essay talks about conditioners as people who want to shape the values, behaviors, morals, and ethics of the human race. However, conditioners can't be the judge of what's good and bad, because they themselves are the product of a society that doesn't have a solid basis on what's good and bad. Basically, they can't decide morality because they themselves are immoral. An example of conditioners in our history are the Nazis of Germany. They created their own values and cut mankind into some shape at the arbitrary will, Lewis 74. But Lewis writes, if we all like the same thing, what motive is there to impel the conditioners to scorn delights and live laborious days in order that we, and posterity, might have what we like? Lewis 64. Basically, all conditioning is false and invalid because the Tao states that anything that a man could want or yearn for would be the same in all men. There wouldn't be a need to condition anyone, because everybody would want the same thing. James Berrettini says, when talking of abolishing this moral sense, he sees that in recent history it's been tried both with increasing force and increasing subtlety. He sees the abuse that is possible in various techniques, such as propaganda and eugenics. This is seen through obvious ways with the Nazis, or in subtle ways with eugenics, where it's hard to decipher whether we're compromising our morals or advancing our society. Going with the idea of eugenics, Gregory Jordan furthers this by saying that humans will someday have the ability to modify motivation, not by Lewis's eugenics, prenatal conditioning, education, and propaganda, but by applied neurosciences, drugs, mind uploading, and other advanced technologies. Gregory is saying that this conditioning and manipulating mentality is going into technological advancements that are becoming more and more pervasive in our daily life. They are straying away from traditional means like psychology and propaganda, and are moving more towards scientific means.
Nature has a variety of meanings which can be understood if we consider its opposites: real Tao/natural Tao, and artificial Tao. The artificial Tao is a product from the conditioners because it is what they create to justify suspending morality. It is artificial because it is human-made as opposed to real and natural Tao, which transcends human understanding and knowledge. Nature itself is also known as what we have conquered. We reduce things to mere nature in order that we may conquer them. We are always conquering nature because nature is the name for what we have. Lewis 71. What we have not possessed or quantified is not nature.
However, man surrenders himself to nature in return for the power it wants to possess, also known as a magician's bargain, where we trade our soul to the devil for power. As Lewis states, we give up our soul and get power in return. Yet the power conferred will not belong to us, and these people that take part in this bargain are therefore outside the Tao. We give up everything, including our soul, morality, and the natural Tao, in return for the power that is not even ours. The final part of the Abolition of Man talks about the idea of transparency. One can't continually justify your morals, because eventually you will hit the basis in which is the Tao. Everything is transparent until the Tao, meaning that to see through the morals is to see to the root, which is the Tao. A fully transparent world is an invisible world. To see through all things is the same as to not see. God, that was a lot.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we just did that.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
when's this due tomorrow?
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just
so.
kidding, a couple weeks.
Just a couple of weeks.
Can you believe we did that in one
I
take,
can't.
though?
No, that was
Oh, wow.
pretty impressive.
Oh, what is
Wow.
happening? Oh, jeez. Oh gosh. So hope you guys enjoyed our presentation.
Yeah, woohoo, the end.
The end.
The end.
Bang.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
oh,